Some people have said, some people have made the claim that, you know, I should keep my hands off of racial issues because I'm a white boy, okay? But never before has there been a race-adjacent event which I am so qualified to talk about. The Fortnite March Through Time Martin Luther King Jr. experience. The one, the only. Footage taken from Game Spot.
To join with you today
This is real.
in what will go down in history
This is actually real.
as the greatest demonstration
This is a Fortnite creative
in the history of
special
our
event where you, and I'm guessing 39 other people, can walk through a recreation of DC, well, part of it, and watch this historic speech.
a great American in
Caption down at the bottom.
shadow we stand today. Signed the Emancipation Proclamation.
There are like jumping challenges and around that you can jump on too. Those pillars over there on the right side, I think you can like, I think there's like shiny tokens you can get. Hold on. And as you'll see, there are little side areas as well. Like this little museum, the Montgomery Bus Boycott, the Freedom Riders. Look at that.
The Negro lives on a lonely island of poverty. In the midst of a
Guns are disabled in this area. It is a non-combat zone.
100 years later,
Lunch counter sit-ins. Birmingham campaign.
Negro is still languished in the
Add your light.
of American society.
See, there's like these little torches over here. And you like go to little side area and side area. See? We're doing little quizzes. A group of white and black civil rights activists who traveled across the American South together to protest the segregated bus terminals. What is it, guys? Is it the Justice Riders, the Freedom Riders, or the... I can't... Emancipation Riders. What is it, guys? What is it? And you are correct!
This note was a promise that all men,
Nicely done.
yes,
Got little quizzes.
this check, a check that will
We
give
have
us
slidey
the
skate
demand
boots.
the
I don't
riches of freedom
understand,
and the security of
but you're
justice.
slidey skating.
Which leads into
Here we go. Here's the jumping challenges.
in the process of gaining our rightful place, we must not be guilty of wrongful deeds.
Get it.
Let us not
Get
seek
it.
to satisfy our thirst
Get it.
for freedom
Nice.
by drinking from the cup of bitterness and hatred.
Oh, yeah. Fun trivia, by the way. Martin Luther King Jr. himself actually worked with this project with Epic Games to produce this.
Go back
Some
to
kind of
Mississippi.
grenade
Go
hop
back
bouncing
to
challenge.
Alabama, go back to South Carolina, go back to Georgia, go back to be made low, the rough places will be made plain, and the crooked places will be made straight, and the glory of the Lord shall be revealed, and all flesh shall see it together.
So I have a couple things that I want to say about this because I'm really of two minds. There were half of me. So actually, I'm of three minds. Okay. The first thing that I think we can all agree on objectively is that this is incredibly funny. Everyone on social media agrees about this. Regardless of your feelings about it, positive or negative, it is undeniably incredibly funny. There is something so insanely dumb about the juxtaposition of one of America's most favored and remembered speeches, a triumph after centuries-long civil rights struggle, juxtaposed with like a bunch of Fortnite players running around and zooming around it's really, really, really silly. And I'm not going to get over that. And this is, by the way, the future of all education. Okay? This is the future of all education. In the future, all lessons will be learned in Fortnite special instance areas, and there's nothing we can do about it, and we might as well just accept it now. So, with all that said, a couple of things that I want to say. The first is the negative, okay? I want to say a few negative things. Does that work with you guys? Do you think we could maybe open with a critique? The first one is obvious. I think most everyone would agree with it, and it's that the format of the presentation severely undercuts the significance of the event. There's just no getting around that. There's no way they could have presented this that would have kept that from being the case. They could have made it as serious as they wanted, but it remains a Fortnite instance area. There is no getting around that fact. The second main one that I would say is that in the implementation, I do think there might be something a little bit crass about the implementation of these, like, jumping puzzles in the area. You know what I mean? Like, this seems a little... If I were to look at this and think about, like, the mind state of a person playing this, I would probably think that this might be a little bit too distracting, a little bit difficult to parse the language of the speech while grenade hopping, you know? Yeah, also using bombs around MLK is just taboo in general. But honestly, apart from the trivialization, I want to say, I do not think this is honestly that bad. I mean, it's like super weird, modern, kind of dissonant, cringy future education reality. But apart from all of that, and I can see why people might dislike this at a glance. I'm not going to say those people are wrong. I mean, I would never, like, stick my neck out and defend this to my dying day, but in terms of my general feeling about this, the idea that we should approach history and approach education in, like, a sacrosanct way, I don't really think that's true, you know? I think it may, if anything, kind of be a byproduct of our antiquated education system, where the process of education and the aesthetic of, like, stern, sort of solemn learning are transposed with each other, often to the detriment of people who are actually trying to learn. See, I don't learn very well in that environment. The stuff that I learn the best from is usually when I pull up a stack of academic-adjacent YouTube videos and listen through them while playing a video game. Helps me stay focused, and if I find it interesting, I find more videos from that person or on that subject. And I have learned, and this sounds anti-academic, but I mean this, far more about the world from that and from reading academic articles, linked in the citations, and reading Wikipedia, finding stuff that I'm interested in, looking down the citations for that, reading those, than I ever did in school. And I mean that sincerely. There's just... It's so much more, you know? So, does the process of getting educated have to be some, like, really rigorous, serious, solemn, with lots of gravitas, this, like, dedicated process of learning with big books and dusty tomes? And I don't really think so. And, you know, all this really does, this event right here, is integrate and gamify something that I already do anyway, which is learn while playing video games. Or, to put it another way, let me say this. There's no cost-benefit analysis to this, you know? It's not like this Fortnite education thing is replacing a school curriculum. This is in addition to that. So with that being said, do you think there's a possibility that people actually learn something from this? Are learning something from this? It's a gamification. To get these torches that you have to run around and light stuff up with, you have to read and learn a little bit. Just the basics about the civil rights movement. Say how many hundreds of thousands, even millions of people participate in this event. Is any knowledge being lost? Is anybody getting more ignorant on civil rights? I don't really think so. It doesn't seem like there's any potential negative here, really. I mean, what's the worst that happened? People make jokes about how Fortnite's gone woke? I don't know what the worst part of it could really be. And in a way, this might be a good template or model for, you know, future investigations into the best ways to educate people, especially young people, you know? First of all, the information contained in this Fortnite event, because I did watch the whole video, by the way, is more substantial than I think the average American's understanding of of the civil rights movement. You know, um, unfortunately, the average education in this country is so low that I think that playing this would give most Americans probably like more info than they knew before. You know, um, so that's, I guess, well, that's something. But one thing that I've been really interested in, especially since I started streaming, is the idea of gamifying or otherwise better incentivizing educational development. Do you remember how educational games used to be all the rage? Like, I swear to God, like half the games that you would see when you went to a computer store were like education. Yeah, like yeah, there were like licensed games, Mario and stuff, like large properties that were making like their kid versions, you know? And some of the typing games were fun. For the most part though, to be clear, these games were ass. These games sucked so much, you know? But what about, and here's the one that I really liked, by the way, was Bookworm Adventures, the one where you play as the worm and the big words help you attack the like Romans or whatever, like Medusa. That one was a lot of fun. I did, of course, play the Typing Dead, the typing game where it's the House of the Dead or whatever. But that wasn't a kids game, of course. That was a I mean, it's a zombie game. It wasn't a kids game. No, Mavis Beacon sucked. And by the way, Mavis Beacon, great example of a horrible waste of time. That Mavis Beacon was just not interesting or entertaining enough to hold the attention of young people. It didn't feel like a game. It just felt like computerized lessons. It did not feel like a game, right? Are we in agreement on that? Those did not feel fun, at least for me. And to this day, I type by pecking with 2 index fingers. Anyway, here's something that I think would be fun, though. Okay? What about a full modular game-based curriculum? Like, follow through with me here for a little bit and try to be forgiving because I'm coming up with this on the fly, okay? So, what's something people who play games like? Well, they like achievements and they like full completion. You know, they like making it to the end of the level. Everybody likes this in some way or another. Every game has some type of goal to achieve, and people like those goals being achieved. So, what if you had, let's just to keep things simple, keep it within the purview of this, okay? So, in this event, there are like a few dozen kind of like little instanced mini game areas, quizzes, and what have you. And when you complete them, you get like a torch. And then when you have all the torches, you like complete the event. Okay? Don't you think there's a way to make a format like that applicable to virtually any kind of curriculum for younger people? It wouldn't have to be Fortnite, but anything. You could have it be that you have a preset collection of levels that are designed by developers, maybe 15 or 20 or 25, and they're all modular to the point that if you have the editor, you can slot in other questions, other images, audio segments along with all of them, and you could build at least not full curriculums, but like curriculum adjacent information. Yeah, there are Minecraft maps that do a really good job with this that I've seen. You know what I mean? Are you understanding the potential? You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean, right? If it was done well, and I don't mean Fortnite again, it could be like a kid's game, like a simple little platformer, or like a moving blocks puzzle game, or anything. But the point is, it wouldn't be like those old educational games where they were bare bones and uninteresting and largely uncompelling. And it would have to be modular. Modular to the point that teachers could meaningfully alter the curriculum of what's presented. I think that'd be really, really cool. Because let me tell you this, guys, my brain will retain information much better if it's part of beating some level. Seriously, do you have any idea how much of my brain is taken up by Binding of Isaac item descriptions? Can you even fathom? There are hundreds of items and trinkets in that goddamn game, and hundreds of enemies with very specific movement patterns and tier shot patterns. I remember the tier speed, the rate at which they fire them, all of the bosses, the movement speeds, the alterations based on the color of the enemy. This is the amount of total information that I have packed into my head on that game is astonishing. And the only reason I remember all of it is because playing that game is fun, and knowing that information helps me have fun in that game. You understand? This may be silly, but there is a core of information here, a core of valuable information. And it is that the gamification of tedious work has been done to successfully incentivize shit nobody else wants to do. People will do stuff that is not fun if it is gamified. Cookie clicker is not fun, okay? It is not. You click and then you click on the things that click for you. None of those games are fun. But because it is gamified, because they have successfully incentivized your continued attention with the blips and the bloops, with the bars going up and the progress and the level and the blah, by successfully gamifying the process, which would otherwise be monotonous, they keep your attention. There are so many things that are like this, okay? We could do so much with this format. And maybe some things aren't really deserving of this format. There are people in chat who have been saying, well, it's all well and good until we're learning about Auschwitz in a Holocaust tour on Fortnite, you know? And I will agree. That's probably not a history lesson best expressed through Fortnite. That's probably true. I don't know if that would be tasteful enough, okay? But there's still something we can learn from this, and I just hope that people's innate desire to mock it, which I share, by the way, does not keep them from recognizing the potential. Because our schools suck. Like, really, really suck. But man, if I was 10 years old, and I played a lot of games when I was 10 too, if I was 10 years old, you know, and in addition to my in-class work, instead of having homework, every week we would be expected to get up to a certain point in a video game where the video game can only be beat by applying lessons learned through some kind of educational showpiece. And it felt fun and engaging. I mean, real effort was put into it, not some like $5 budget, you know, Mario teaches you how to type game that was made by like the C team of the development studio, or licensed off to some, you know, company that employs 4 people. A real game. You could potentially learn a lot of really nice stuff. Do we understand? I just want to make sure that potentially, if that happened, it would probably start at private schools. Yeah, and there would also be an accessibility issue because everybody would need to have a computer. Some kids who come from poor families or who are Amish may not have computers. So there would need to be a way to keep everyone on board. I mean, obviously libraries can have computers, but still. Um, I just think it could be really good. Duolingo is fun, but Duolingo is fun, sure. But I'm thinking more basic than that. Teaching a whole language is difficult to do even when you're gamifying it, okay? But what about just like basic history stuff? You know? What if like you have your regular history lessons, you know? But over the course of the semester in like AP US history, you have like maybe a 40 level game that accompanies it, and each level can only be passed. You have like a certain amount of health, and of course, failing on questions means you lose the health, and you do it over and over and again. I'll tell you this, okay? What if it was like Pokemon, you know, where like the attack that you use should be the correct answer, you know, like you encounter an enemy, and then like choose an attack, and there are the 4 attacks, but it's like 4 answers, and then the enemy's like presents a question and you respond to it. I think that exists. Yeah, I know. I know the basic, the bones of this exist. But what if it was like actually a goddamn fucking Pokemon game, you know? A full-on real Pokemon game with secrets and the items and like alternate routes and characters and all that stuff. And that way, it wouldn't just be like some 5. What if you're not a gamer, though? I think that everyone can to some extent. The real limitation here would be that you couldn't have it be games that require any real mechanical complexity, you know? Or there might be a setting to turn it off. Like, say there's a kid who has like some kind of crippling muscular or like nervous system disorder and they can't like hold a mouse and keyboard or whatever, or a controller. So in that case, there'd have to be very rigorous accessibility options, yeah. But it is all doable. Everything that I'm describing right now is totally, totally doable. And yeah, Kirby would be fun, by the way. Kirby would be super fun. Remember when I played like Kirby 64 The Crystal Shards? What if it was more elementally driven, where you can only defeat enemies if you have the opposite element, and you did that through a little mini game where you have to answer questions correctly, and the quality of the item drops that you get are determined by that? How cute would that be, you know? Like you're fighting a boss, and it's like, choose your next attack, and then it's like, you know, the history question about the United States' founding, and you have to choose an answer, and the better answer you get, and it would be multiple, not just like 3 wrong, 1 right. What if there are 8 answers and 3 of them are right, but one of them is the most right, and then the most right gives you like a super good item, and then the other 2 give you like an okay? That'd be super cool. Make a game that's so fun that an adult human who is no longer in school would play it on their own purely because it's enjoyable to play. If they can do that, if they can meet that goal, then they have the potential to revolutionize education in this country. They do. And that is a monumental and world-changing prospect. The future of education, this is big stuff, you know. All right. You get what I'm saying. So my ultimate ruling is that I support the Fortnite MLK event, as undeniably stupid and funny as it is.